Good afternoon and happy 2021. Happy New Year. And welcome back to another episode of Card Shop with Sari. Sari's going to come in just a minute and she's going to teach you a really unique method, and it's transferring with packing tape. Transfer Me Happy is the name of this class. I'm not going to talk about the different items that she's going to show you about, but I'm going to talk about little things that are going to be in your kit this time. You're going to get a couple bookmark sleeves. She's going to show you how to use them for a bookmark or to make a card. You're also, this kit, you're going to get a utility cutter. And it does come with an extra blade that you can use for the kit. There's one in the cutter. Your extra blade is actually going to be slid inside one of your bookmark sleeves, so please be careful with that, especially if you're doing the craft with some younger children. Just be aware that you are going to have a little utility cutter. You're going to get some Mod Podge, some packing tape, another little paintbrush. This is more of a little flat paintbrush. You're going to get a variety of some tassels. Every kit's going to have different colors, so you'll just have a few tassels to use for some of the different projects. And there'll probably be a little magazine stuck. You probably have magazines. We talk about recycling things every card shop, but we're sending you with a magazine, and that's part of the transferring. But once you learn the technique, you may have something at home that you're like, hey, I can use that for my Transfer Me Happy. You'll also have the white strips and some cardstock will be in your kit. And I hope you enjoy this new technique of Transfer Me Happy. So Happy New Year, and I'm going to put my mask on, and Sari's going to come and teach you a fun time. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you to the Argenta Branch Library for another edition of Card Shop. Welcome to 2021. My goodness gracious, are we all glad to be here. We did mini journals last month, and this is kind of a continuation of, I'll admit, we're using some scraps from the kits last month, and that's what kind of sprouted this idea. We're going to be doing packing tape transfers, and the scraps that are included in your kit are very nicely going to transfer into bookmarks. I have some samples here of some small bookmarks. I've used some Christmas designs here, some florals. We'll get some close-up pictures for you as well. Here's a little folded bookmark that I think is really cute. You're also going to get some full sheets in your kit so that you can do some other projects. I've made a greeting card here that goes along with a bookmark in a sleeve that's attached to a gift, and the gift happens to be a book, which makes sense. You'd have a bookmark and a book. But on the back side, I've also embossed a lovely sentiment. So I want you to think outside the box as to what you can do with your transfers. Additionally, we've even included a piece of framed art. This is just a really fun technique. A lot of the size of the pictures you will find in magazines and in catalogs will fit on bookmarks. It will also fit on the little pockets that we did in the last class for the mini journal. Yes, I know that pocket design was very poorly printed. Sorry about that. But if you figured out how to make the pocket, then these transfers could go very nicely on top of one. They also work as a focal point for your card making. And as I've shown you in this card here, this background of the golden colored plaid is a packing tape transfer, and so is this strip inside here. And I'll cover those a little bit later, but you can make larger transfers than just the small bookmark style. So let's get going. All right, so what is a packing tape transfer? Well, this little bookmark here has been made by a packing tape transfer. And what I've done is I've laid packing tape onto a magazine, on this image. And when I show it to you like this, you can't really tell that it's now see-through. So I'm hoping the camera will catch this. What we're doing is we're sticking packing tape onto an image and saving the ink of that image onto our packing tape and removing the paper. So here's the back side and here's the front side, and as you can see, the front side is shiny. You don't have to leave yours shiny. You can sand it, or you can put your Mod Podge, which is matte. This is the Mod Podge that's included in your kit, and it's a matte finish, so that means it will be dull. And you can go over the glossy part with this a couple times, or you can sand it. Okay, this is an example of what I was just referencing about shiny finish. Let's see if you can catch this in the camera. This bookmark is made shiny, and this one here, I have put matte medium over top of it after sanding it lightly with my sanding block, and it is not shiny. So that is personal preference, but these are two bookmarks that have been made by packing tape. This has just a little scrap of fabric and a button in place of a tassel, and this is one of the types of tassels that you will get in your kits. Another item you can make is a piece of framed art. This little image came from one magazine, and these words came from another, and I'll talk about how to get your words out of the magazine. Here is the card that I showed earlier that was with the book as a gift and the bookmark. This background right here is a large piece of packing tape transfer, and this centerpiece is just thin like the bookmarks are. And then I took some shiny cardstock and put it next to it. To do a background, it's important to overlap the tape, which will make more sense after you've seen how this is done. All right, here are the supplies that you will need to begin your project. Packing tape, which if you have a kit has already been included, a utility cutter, Mod Podge, or if you don't have a kit, then any white glue will do, but I really like the Mod Podge. A bone folder, a pair of scissors, mine happen to be non-stick, which is very nice, and a cutting mat. Now I really wish I had brought my cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. It's a green, it's a little bit bigger, you might have seen it in my previous videos. I would encourage you to be on the lookout, and if you find one of those, grab it. The other thing that you could really use is a metal ruler, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. So you have these tools that you need, okay, and you need a container with some water in it. I happen to really like the glass container because it allows me to see what I'm doing, and it's heavy and I can't accidentally tip it over. All right, so let's actually do a packing tape transfer. Here's my little bird, which I have cut out of a magazine, and I've laid it on my mat because that's a non-stick surface. It makes it easier to pick the tape up afterward. I know that's loud, sorry. Now, there's static electricity that builds up in your tape and your magazine page, and sometimes the magazine page item will want to jump up to the tape, so please make sure your tape is nice and smooth before you lay it down. Now, my little bird happens to be a little bit larger than my tape. Let's see if we can see this. I have just a little bit of paper on each edge. For the demonstration, I'm not going to worry about that. But if you were really using this, you'd want to take another piece of tape. Actually, let me just show you that. No, I'm going to show you that on something else. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you need to use your bone folder or whatever you have and really burnish this down. Remember, you're trying to get the ink on the tape. It's very important that the tape is very, very, very well stuck. I will warn you, different magazines are going to function differently. Some of these are going to work really great, and some of them are going to be a little bit more of a challenge. All right, here's what we do with the water. Take your packing tape item, and if you're going to do any cutting, you want to do it now before it goes in. I'm not going to worry about these extra pieces. I can use that later. All right, you put it in the water, tape side down, paper side up. So this is where it's sticky. Now once I put it in the water, it's not sticky, but it will be again when it dries. So you always want to keep the sticky side up. You let it soak just a little bit. Now this one's been in here just a moment. And some magazines are wonderful, and the whole piece will come off in one great big square or rectangle, and that's quite lovely, but that doesn't always happen. So you leave it sit in here however long you need. On those pieces that come off in a big sheet, sometimes that happens in about 20 seconds of soaking, and other items you have to leave for a few minutes. But this one's working very nicely. I don't know if it's the thickness of the paper, the thinness of the paper. I'm going to show you some calendars that are, oh my gosh, wonderful. You can use the comic strips out of the newspaper. It's all going to give you a different effect. All right, this one's almost done. Now on those ones where the whole piece comes off, it will be very tempting to not do what I'm doing right now. I'm really rubbing this and I'm scraping it to get it nice and clean. I made the mistake of not doing that on one that it came off in one sheet, and I'm going to show you in a minute what that looked like. It left a little bit of a problem, and I'll show you. Clean it all up. Make sure you do not put the paper down the sink. Don't take that and dump it down the sink. Take it outside. I also cannot blot this with paper because it's going to become sticky. If I blot this with paper, I'm going to get paper back on here, and I'm going to have to put it back in the water and do this again, which I don't want to do. So you just set this aside to dry, and then we'll move on. Well, this is what I meant about not cleaning off the back of my packing tape thoroughly, and I know this is really hard to see on camera, but right here where I've cut the tape, you can see a difference in color between here and right here, which is the paper on the back. And then this part of another piece of packing tape, I did actually clean off everything on the back. So I'm hoping you can see this is kind of gray, my paper is nice and white, and where I did clean off the backing all the way, it's clear and white again. It's a little shiny, but it's actually white. So that's why you have to remember, even when your whole piece comes off very nicely, still take your finger and rub on the background and get the little bits of paper off. Okay, let's talk a little bit about words. Words in magazines are so much fun, and once you start looking, I think you'll really find a lot that you can use. One key item is anything that is white, like this word winter right here, is going to be clear when you do the packing tape transfer. So white on white is not going to work. This you can see because it has a blue background, so you can see the word winter. And then I actually put this on a piece of glitter paper, and I think it's going to make a wonderful title in a journal page. These words here came out of the same magazine, but in different locations of that magazine. However, they're still in the same font. And so I wanted to say all good things. Well, I have all things plaster, and I have in good taste. So before you put this in the water, you will cut apart what you want to use. And do that with anything that you're changing. You might want to have shapes. I have taken a flower and I traced around it and I cut some shapes. I can show you that in a minute. But you do this before you take the paper off the background because it's so much easier. This is really hard to cut once you get the paper gone. It's not impossible, it's just more difficult. All right. I want this to be separated. You'll separate your words, you'll do everything, and then come here, pardon my hand, and get the word good. I don't need the rest of it, I just want the word good. And so I will take that out. And then you can do whatever you want with it. As a close-up, I'm going to show you that's how this was done here. The more you understand her world, the more possibilities you see. It was done exactly like you just saw me do these words here. So look around in the ads and anywhere in the text. It's really fun once you start looking at this. Okay, let's set this stuff all off to the side. And what about doing a great big background piece? Well, a magazine is full of textures and colors and things of interest if you look at it right. I found this. Oh, you can't see that on camera at all. Okay, this is a piece of wallpaper, I assume. Anyway, this would be an awesome background. The way you would do it is to lay down, pardon the noise. So you're going to lay down a piece of tape. And your next piece, now I made a little crease right there. I'm not going to worry about it too much. This is not supposed to be perfect. When you do these transfers, it's supposed to give you the image, but you're not going for perfection. That's the joy of it. Take another piece. Now, in order to keep this large, you must overlap your pieces of packing tape. If you don't, and of course I learned this the hard way, your pieces will just come apart and you'll have all these lovely little strips that fit on bookmarks. Either way works, but it might not be what you were planning. And then you just keep going like that all the way across whatever your large piece is. I'm going to show you in a minute this adorable cat that was, I think, the first item I did, and I didn't know to do it this way, and so my cat is in a few different pieces. Okay, so I would continue all the way across here. I would cut out what piece I want. I would soak it, and then I would have my packing tape transfer ready to go. This particular scene is one of those things I'm going to do that on, and I'm going to use this probably for the cover of a journal page. I have some calendars that have the most incredible pieces of art on them. So you have the small image on the back, and then you have the large image inside that you can do all kinds of fun things with. So it's time now. At the change of the year, you will have calendars. Grab them. Waxed paper is going to be your friend. When your image is dry, it's still going to return to being a little bit sticky. And if you put it on paper or you stack them together, it's going to be a little tough to take apart. So I store mine on waxed paper. That way I can also stack them up and make it a little bit more efficient. This is one of my very favorite pieces that I did. And I managed to overlap my packing tape so she came out all in one great big piece. Let's see if I can get her off here and show you. There we go. She's all in one piece. I did not like what they had put into her sunglasses, so I used my utility blade and I cut inside her sunglasses, and I can do something on my own now to personalize it. Here are some of those flowers that I had cut out. This is a little foam flower. This was my template. I cut them out. I left my lines on there because I think that's kind of cute. And I also discovered, oh, where did it go? There we go. If I lay it on something that's plain, it looks great. Got some orange in there. Let me try this one. But I put this on top of something that had color, and oh my goodness. So once you've had your items dry, try it on some different colors and see what you like the best. I have a whole bunch of words right here that I'm planning to use in journaling. I think they're just great. Here's another one I think would be great for a card. Let's see if you can see this. Not sure you can, but it says, "How are you?" And I just thought that was adorable. I found the number 70. I thought that might make a great item in a birthday card. Probably not for somebody who's 70. I found some more words here that I think are going to come in handy. Now, I did take a magazine and I went all the way through it and I picked all these things out of one magazine. And then I put them in the water in a single batch. Now, here's my kitty cat. I thought that I had made all one kitty cat, but I didn't. I did not overlap, and here's what happened. Not a disaster. I can put it back together when I put it on my item, but it would have been a lot more convenient if the kitty cat would have stayed together. So please learn from my mistakes, and if you want something to be a single image, then overlap your packing tape. I know I've said that about 10 times now, but I think it's really important. Also remember, different paper is going to function differently. Some of it can be a little frustrating. Please don't give up. As we mentioned in your kit, you're going to have some of these strips which were left over from the journal kit in December, and it will make 4 smaller bookmarks. That's the size I used right here. You'll cut 5.5 inches, so get out your ruler. You can make little pencil marks, 5.5, 5.5, and then take your utility blade and cut along that. Then this is 3 inches wide, so half of that will be 1.5 inches, and that will give you 4 bookmarks of that size. Oh, something very important to show you with your bookmark sleeve. Okay, here's something that is a little trick you can do with the bookmark sleeve. Because it is see-through, you can use it on top of an image to see how it's going to look and if it will fit on your bookmark. I know it's hard to see on camera, but this is a really, really helpful trick. So try doing that on your own. Here's a way you could use it in a catalog. Very easily you can look at that and see how much of my picture is going to fit on my bookmark and know if I have room for words, excuse me while I stutter. The other thing you can do with it is you can use it to measure the size of a bookmark that you want. And remember that don't measure for the outside, you have to measure the inside. Hoping you can see the edge here is a little bit smaller. So my bookmark has to be smaller than the outside edge. Here's the little bird that we were working on. He's nice and dry now, and you will have a nice paintbrush in your kit to do this, but I'm just going to use my fingers and put some Mod Podge on there. I'm working on a non-stick mat so I can clean this up very easily, and spread the glue all over it. Now he is a little bit sticky, and for some projects you might not need extra glue. I'm using extra glue because I want to make sure it sticks forever and ever and ever. Alright, and you just put it down onto your, in this case I'm using white cardstock. Clean up my finger a little bit. The other joy of Mod Podge, if you get any Mod Podge on the surface and you don't want it there, all you have to do is wipe it off while it's still wet. Now I'm going to push mine down, make sure it is stuck very well. And again, if you don't want yours to be glossy, then you put Mod Podge over top as well. So when he's dry, he's going to be all ready to use as a beautiful embellishment on a card, on a bookmark, or a pocket, or anything else that you want. And you can transfer some happy onto all kinds of people in your life. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Sari, for a great class and a very unique way to make some crafts. I particularly like bookmarks. I like to collect them and make them, so I think I'll be doing some Transfer Me Happy with some bookmarks when I get home. Thank you again for joining A Card Shop with Sari. This is the January class. And just remember, to get your kit, you would call the library. The number will be listed below. It's 1 kit per person while supplies last. Give me a call and we'll set up an appointment, and we'll get your kit reserved for you. So thank you again, and Happy New Year, and we will see you in February.